Welcome to Live Decoded. Today I'm joined by Allen Ackley, someone who is a leader in the banking industry and knows how to put hardship or to find in hardship a lot of joy. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you having me today.
So first of all, I want to hear the story behind your name, because every time we start at here with the podcast, all the time I'm asking if I pronounce the name of the guest correctly. And you told me that there is a story to your first name, Jan, that's in Germany pronounced as Jan.
Yes. And in the United States, Jan is typically a female name. Yes. And so I'm originally from Eastern Ohio, which is in Appalachia. If your listeners know where Appalachia is, it's, West Virginia, Eastern Ohio, Kentucky, and all up and down that mountain range. I come from that area, and one of the, I guess it's not uncommon to have kind of name sets. And let me tell you it's kind of funny, actually. Let me tell you what that's about. I have three cousins named Dave, Dan, and Daryl. And I have another set of cousins named Tex, Rex, and Max. And then I have an older brother, Jay, and an older sister, Kay. And then my mother was going to name me Ray, but she didn't like Ray. And so back in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s, there were two guys who were part of a kind of a famous singing group back then called Jan and Dean. She liked that name. Here I am with that name.
Great. So over here in Europe, I don't know for which country it is a normal name, but I have a few friends from the Czech Republic that are called, and so I'm just assuming that it's mainly coming from over here. Thank you so much for the first story. And I think where this one was coming from, there are a lot more, because you are an author, a veteran, and an executive, so you experience a lot in your life, and a lot is just 36 years of high-level experience in commercial finance. And I hate finance stuff, to be completely total with you. I think it's quite boring. So how did you hold it out for 36 years?
Yeah, it's a great question. I started right out of college. I went to work at a bank, a large bank in Detroit, Michigan, moved my family up there. But what I found is a lot of people think of banking as just simply numbers. And I'm a commercial banker. I do more of the high level, working with companies and so on. But it's more than just numbers and dollars. There are relationships that get built over time. And so helping companies and visiting companies across the United States, that's really where I get the joy out of what I do. The happiness of working is working with companies and then the individual people that are behind those.
Okay. So how does it come that someone who's knee deep in his world, traveling around, helping big firms and companies, is also a wonderful storyteller who puts out a memoir?
Yeah.
How did that come?
Yeah. So, this goes back about 12 years ago. I have an unusual background, which led me to put this memoir together. And really the reason I put it together was about 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago. I have 8 grandchildren, and my first grandchild, who's almost 13 now, she was born, and I thought, what do grandfathers do? What do I do to teach her? And then I started thinking, well, just stories that I have from my past would be good for her to know. And then I realized I have 5 children, and my 5 children haven't heard all of this. All the past things that I went through as a young person. And so I started writing it down, and then I had some people look at it, just what I had done. They said, you should really write a book because people will may take interest in it and help them. So it morphed into from a family effort project into trying to help people, whoever is interested in the type of help and stories that I tell in that memoir.
To write a memoir, I'm just expecting that you need something to write about. What was the main thing you talked about in your book that should help others to be a bit happy?
Yeah, I grew up in a very poor background, single mother, with 3 siblings, very poor, growing up that way, growing up with a dad, not around much, at all. And it was a tough upbringing that I had. I think there's a lot of learned helplessness. Generationally, my family had been poor, and there's like this learned helplessness, learned poverty that sets itself in because people, the family that I come from, don't know any better, don't know any different. So the memoir is stories about how I overcame all of that adversity, the things that happened along the way, which were very specific stories of mentorship, of trying to build confidence, which I was sorely lacking of. And so it's a book that talks about families, it talks about facing adversity, not shying away from it, seeking help from mentors, looking to those who you want to emulate in your life. And that's really what it's about.
So when you were raised in those harsh conditions, what was the hardest thing to get through in your first early years?
Yeah, so it was, I think the hardest years I had was in junior high and high school, where, I didn't have any money, didn't have a whole lot of friends because I didn't have a lot of confidence. I was afraid to talk to girls at the time, which isn't that unusual, I think. So, so it's, it's getting through the poverty, the uncertainty of life. I'll tell you a story I had when I was in the 10th grade, a sophomore in high school. It was being from Ohio, gets, as it does in Germany, gets really cold in the wintertime. And our gas bill, the heating bill was, they were about to turn it off because we couldn't pay it. It was like $300 or something like that back in the day. This is many years ago. And so I bore the weight of those types of situations on me, and it was a constant stress that I felt. And helplessness. How do I help my mother? And somebody from the church I was going to found out about it, and they paid the bill off. They paid it. And I remember in sitting in English class at the high school, and this huge weight came off of my shoulders. And I remember putting my hand down like this, and tears started coming down, because when people feel the anxiety and the stress in life, it can be overwhelming. And then when it's suddenly taken off, the relief is profound. And that's one story for me of hardships among many. That one in particular just happened to have a good outcome. I had somebody that noticed my family was in distress, or my mother's family was in distress, and helped us.
So quite literally, thank God in this.
Oh my gosh, no kidding.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Wow. At least, I mean, $350 are a lot.
Back then it was a lot. It's still a lot today, but this goes back into 1970s. And so that's a lot of money for some people that, it could have been $100. Didn't matter. We didn't have any money to pay it.
Wow. And then you got through that, but you also struggled with confidence, talking to people, that,
Yeah.
of course, changed how we can see. So how did you manage to get through it? Because I think now with social media and everything, everybody's just comparing themselves to others. And yeah, just self-respect and everything is plummeting in the last few years.
It is.
And on the forefront, there's confidence. I think that most people are lacking confidence because they're just comparing themselves every day to other people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, this is a great question also that you ask. And it's a confidence, having no confidence is a significant, it causes people not to move forward in life in many things, not be able to take in opportunities, not be able to face adversity. Some things that happened to me was I met a couple of guys that were older men, businessmen, who, they were friends with my mother and my other family members. And I'm a 17-year-old kid at this time, and they would come over, and one was a very wealthy businessman in town, and he took the time to visit a poor 17-year-old kid that I couldn't offer him anything. He didn't want anything. He just wanted to help me. Speaking with him, he was a mentor to me. He started to let me see the value of myself in life where I didn't think I had much value. It's like, normal people are up here and I'm in the very lower class, and this is the class I'm going to be in all my life. And he helped me to recognize that that's not the case, that, and the other gentleman too, both of them teamed up to work with me over a year or so. And I started to see things about myself that I hadn't seen before. I went into the military as I was just getting ready to graduate from high school, went into the Air Force, and I needed that. I needed that for confidence, for discipline. The military, the United States Air Force, they did so much for me just from an emotional confidence, discipline standpoint. These things happened over the course of several years that I started to see the worth that I have and what I could do in life, even though it took a long time for the confidence to really move forward. I don't have a confidence issue now, but back then I did. And to achieve, for me, it was to achieve all that life has to offer. I had to overcome my personal weaknesses, if you will. And your point about, social media and comparing, it is a serious issue. In my opinion, I agree with you. People have to look at themselves and not worry about other people. Where are you in life? Where would you like to be? And what are the steps that you have to take, no matter how hard they are, to achieve that? And that's what this book goes through, actually. It covers the course of me being 3 years old up to present day. So it covers a lot of time frame there, but there are some good stories in there about this very subject.
Yeah, because also for me, it was quite the struggle coming up in a normal household. We did not have that many problems with money, fortunately, but I was also very, very introverted for many, many years and just accepted it that it was just like I was born. And then COVID came around when puberty was at its spike. So that hit me as well. And afterwards, I found out I needed to change something after I made through 3 nights just gaming. That's just pretty much how everything started. And since then I gained a lot of confidence, but posting something online, for instance, is still a struggle thinking about it. And I'm now a year in just with this podcast. So it took a lot of work. And I think a lot of people out there, they don't even really think they have a problem with it. And if you don't think you have a problem with it, you don't. So you don't really need to to think about it that much if it doesn't affect you directly, but going through life with a bit more confidence can do a big change.
Yeah, there's something that I learned to do, and I still do it to this day, it's really a self-reflection. You look at yourself, and I am always looking for those things that I need to improve upon, weaknesses that I have. And sometimes people don't want to do that. It's easy to look at your strengths and things that you do well. You set those aside. Where you're really going to improve yourself is self-reflection, and look at yourself and say, why am I not achieving this? Or why am I not happy? Or how come I can't get this education? Or do I need to be more outgoing and develop my confidence? And then self-reflection is very powerful if you're honest with yourself. And then you take that and you find the ways of overcoming those, which again might be very difficult. Adversity is where you will grow the most, is where you're just making yourself do hard things to the point where you're so uncomfortable.
Just
That's where you want to be.
Yeah.
That's where you should be in your life, not comfortable, always uncomfortable, because at that point, you're moving yourself forward and your confidence develops, and then good things come from that.
And something that comes with it is purpose, something that is already known to boost your happiness and your confidence as well, as long as you feel to have a purpose. And that was the main thing that I lacked for many years. I just had the school and I did not really know what I wanted to do in the later lives. And when you don't know what's your purpose here on earth, it could be a very hard life. So you actually tackled this problem. How did you do it?
Yeah. So, having purpose in life is probably at the top of the pyramid of what is your purpose? What is your value in the world?
Yeah.
And I found that beginning with that and happiness is gratitude. Gratitude for everything, no matter how small it is, will bring you comfort, and it will bring you purpose in life, and happiness as well. And so purpose is, what do you want out of life? Where do you want to be in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years? And rarely should it involve money. It should involve, are you helping people, helping others, not thinking of yourself, thinking of others first is the secret to happiness. And once you do that, you start to develop a purpose in life. Do I want a family? Do I want a wife and then a family? Where do I want to take that family in the future, and raise children? That was my purpose in life. I've been married 41 years and have 5 grown children and all these grandchildren. That was one of the purposes of my life. But I will tell you, the only way that works is the less I think about myself and I think about them, the closer my family is, the happier they are. And it works the same way at your job, at, whatever you're doing in life. Don't worry about your self-comfort and things. Worry about other people and help them. Part of the book that I wrote is to help people.
Yeah, and I think many people know that it's just very important to be a kind person, and everybody wants to be a good human in their own eyes. Everybody has their own definition, but at the moment there are just so many things going around in the world. It's very hard to keep its eye on the ball. Like, for instance,
yes.
AI could cost your job tomorrow, and
yeah.
Suddenly you're already thinking about yourself again. But you promise yourself you want to do something for others. But if you don't think right now about your job or how you handle the AI problem, then maybe you don't have any capacity or any things you could do in the future to help anybody else. So how can you balance that a little bit? Because a person who isn't thinking a little bit about themselves, is it really working?
Oh yeah, no, I get it. It's a good question also, and so. it's very important to stay grounded on what's most important in life. The important things are your family, doing the right things for other people. And yes, it's important to think about your career. I had to do that. I had to think about, how am I going to be able to help others? How am I going to be able to raise a family and have a good wife and all of that? And it really started with, I need to improve myself. This is that self-reflection I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Self-reflection of fixing flaws or addressing weaknesses help you to think of others. Looking at a job, looking at an education, it's important to see what's out there that may affect your job and things like that. But that's one small piece of an overall purpose of your life, which includes all those other things that I mentioned. It's just facing adversity, not shoving it to the side, but watching it, facing it, and dealing with it. And AI might be one of those things. There are a lot of things in the world that people get so upset about that don't matter, that really at the end of the day don't matter in their life. So I leave it there for you.
So you came up for a lot about how you could help other people, and you became one of the leaders in the banking industry.
Yeah.
So for many people out there, of course, the overall ratings of the banks are going down in the last few years. Nobody's trusting them the same that they trusted them 10 years ago, because there were many cases where big banking firms just went shut down one day to another, and many people lost their money. So how can you bind mainly helping people, but also having the mission of the banking firm still in your head, and pleasing both sides at the end of the day?
Oh yeah. It's an important thing to talk about. So, in the United States, the banking industry is pretty sound. There are government guarantees on deposits and things like that. So it's quite sound. Naturally, the banks have to go through audits. The government comes in and audit banks, and the banks I've worked for have all been audited and go through that, make sure it's all sound, safety and everything is in place. But it's, it comes, like anything, it comes down to the people that you're talking to, that you're building these relationships with. There are good doctors, bad doctors, there are good bankers, bad bankers. Any career that you have the good and the bad in people. And it's important to get comfortable with the people that have your best interest at heart. Mm-hmm. So for example, there are some companies I can't help. I just can't. I try, and I can't do it, but I'm upfront with them, and I'll say to them, but here outside of a banking environment, here are some other finance type companies that might be able to help you. So it's not just saying no, it's saying, I can't do this, but here are some people that can help you. And you help shepherd them along into solving their problem. Most of the time I can help them, and I do it with what are their goals that they're expressing to me? What do they want to get out of a lending relationship with a bank, with me? And, if I can help them, I will. And I speak with them. This is where the relationship builds. You go talk to companies, you take tours, but really you sit down and listen. You just listen to these owners, and they'll readily tell you what their problems are or opportunities that they're missing. Easy. I often see myself not as a banker, but I'm a problem solver, and help people get opportunities, obtain opportunities. I just happen to do it with financial services. I had a guy years ago, he was in the furniture business. And this was when I was really young. And he told me something I'll never forget. He said, Jan, I'm not in the furniture business selling chairs. I make friends with using a chair. So his thought process was the making friends, building relationships. And how do you do that? He did it with furniture. I do it with financial products. But it's all about the people at the end of the day. And in banking, find a good banker. Go to your local branch, take the local branch manager out for lunch. You don't even need anything. Just every now and then, and you'll start to develop these relationships that when you do need them, you can place a call, they know you, and a relationship blossoms that way.
Wow. Okay. What a tip. So thank you for that one.
Yeah.
My last question goes a bit deeper because it just talked about opportunities, and I think opportunities are just all around us. We're just not taking them. So what is an opportunity that everybody nearly goes through every single week and they might be missing and they should definitely take? Is there anything that comes up to your mind, like talking to a stranger or helping others off the street, what hopefully everybody who listens to this podcast does. But do you have anything in that regard?
Yeah, it's opportunities are all around us. This goes back to some basic things. The first, if you don't have confidence and you're an introvert, it's important that you try and overcome that. Whatever best method that is for you, it's important. The reason I say that is because there are opportunities that pop up just because you're out talking to people and you're not holding back on talking to people. Opportunities pop up for me all the time. I get calls because people know me. And they'll say, Jan, I need some help with this. Would you help me? Yes, I'll help you. Conversely, there might be something that I need from them to help me grow and see some opportunity. And so the first thing is build your relationships in your community. If you have friends that you know that are, if it's a business thing, if you have friends in any sort of business, it doesn't matter which, go talk to them. Say, hey, can I take 30 minutes of your time? Understand what you do. I'm just trying to learn. And you will be shocked at how many people will say, oh yeah, come on in. I'll tell you everything that I do. I'll mentor you. But those things never happen if you're in a shell and you're online just talking to your friends or texting your friends, or, it's about growing yourself, and those opportunities will come to you. I guarantee it.
Thank you so much. Where can people get to know you a bit better? Is there any place people should go, or where they could get your memoir if they're interested?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. So the first, the book is called Searching for Change. Searching for Change has two meanings. There's a small meaning. We used to, when I was growing up poor, my mother was always looking for change to put in the gas tank to keep the car running. So she would say, let's look in the cushions and let's search for some change here. But then the bigger meaning is searching for a change of life, happiness, success, and things like that. That's the name of the book, Searching for Change. You can type that into Amazon and it'll pop up. It's also on Audible on Amazon. Same thing. You can listen to it if you would like. And then if anybody has questions of me, my email address is jan.ackley@gmail.com. Pretty simple. And I'd be happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much for your time and sharing your 36-year-old experience. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it so much. Thanks.